Israel has withdrawn its troops from the West Bank city of Jenin this morning, ending an intense two-day military operation in the city. At least 12 Palestinians and one Israeli soldier were killed in the fighting. Israel claims it launched the operation to destroy militant infrastructure and weapons inside a refugee camp in Jenin. Meanwhile, Palestinian fighters in Gaza fired 5 rockets towards Israel overnight, all of which were intercepted with no reports of injuries. Israeli military jets struck an underground weapons facility in response. CBS News contributor Robert Berger joins me now from Jerusalem. Robert, what is the situation on the ground? Have troops completely pulled back, or are we still seeing fighting around Jenin?
No, Israeli troops have pulled out. There aren't any left in Jenin. And so now the Palestinians who are either in hiding or who left are making their way back to the Jenin refugee camp to assess the damage. And there is quite a bit of damage there. The Israelis brought in bulldozers that tore up the streets in order to look for explosive devices that were buried under the asphalt, according to the army. And the troops also raided a lot of homes, storming into various homes, trying to arrest militants or confiscate weapons. So there is massive damage there in the camp, which was already a poverty-stricken area, very poor, and there's no internet, water, or electricity there now.
And it's a very population-dense area. I understand we were talking to our colleague at the BBC yesterday, and she said the refugee camp is very long and established, and essentially in the middle of this area they've been striking. So for people who haven't been following this as much, remind us why the Israeli government said they needed to do this now. Why was it such a large scale? And are they considering this operation successful based off of whatever the parameters were for the strike?
Well, you have this very densely populated area which is kind of a no man's land. The Palestinian Authority doesn't go in there. And there have been quite a number over the past year and a half of shootings that emanated from Jenin, where militants are pretty much are ruling the streets. Quite a number of Israelis have been killed in drive-by shootings. 4 were killed at a settlement recently that I think led to this operation in the first place. So with the Palestinian Authority not ruling the streets, the Israelis felt they had to go in there, and they do consider it a success. They confiscated a large number of weapons, lots of explosives, arrested at least 30 militants, and they say they caused large damage to what they call the terrorist infrastructure.
But also, it seems a lot of the civilian infrastructure around it, just by necessity. What impact is this operation going to have on relations between Palestinian groups and the Israelis? You know, tensions are never particularly low, but are we expecting to see them ratcheted up, and are we expecting to see more repercussions from the Palestinian side in response?
Well, you know, the relations between the Palestinian Authority and Israel are at an all-time low. Now they've gotten even lower. The Palestinian Authority says it has broken off whatever was left of security cooperation, and they're planning to take Israel to the International Criminal Court in The Hague on charges of war crimes. So certainly that, and there's no political horizon. In other words, the Palestinian Authority doesn't think it has any reason to help Israel with security, since this right-wing Israeli government isn't interested in making any concessions to the Palestinians, such as the creation of a Palestinian state. And what that means is, yeah, more tension ahead. I think you'll see more operations like the one we saw in Jenin, and even Israeli officials are even saying that publicly, that a 2-day operation won't destroy what they call the terrorist infrastructure there in Jenin.
All right, we'll keep monitoring it. Robert, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.